Good evening. My name is Chadwick Fortmiller. I am currently in week 2 or 3 of FT122. This week we're going over propellants. Uh, First, I'll go over the main difference between an explosive and a propellant. The main difference between an explosive and a propellant is the rate of deflagration. This, as the way I understand it, is the rate at which the chemical reaction occurs. Um, in a explosive, this happens at a much faster rate and a lot more aggressive rate. For the next part of today's assignment, I don't think there is a necessity to change at this current point in time. However, I do see some reasons that in the future it could possibly be forced to change. Uh, One of those reasons could be health and safety issues, such as the gases expelled when we shoot around. That the gas from the smokeless powder could potentially be inhaled, going into our lungs, causing long-term health effects. Um, and then we also have the possibility of the government changing the rules and regulations later down the road. We have to change. Uh, uh, Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Uh, so I'll go on to the final part of this week's assignment, and that is my drawings of the battery cup, the boxer primer, and the Berdan primer. Uh, we'll start with the Berdan. That's right here. The Berdan primer is primarily used over in Europe, Asia, and majority of the world. Uh, it uh, Biggest difference is it has 2 flash holes, which you can see here. You would have a striker or a firing pin strike the back of the primer, causing the primer mix to go off, rupturing the protective disc when it's smashed between the anvil and the firing pin. This would cause the gases to go through the 2 flash holes into the propellant, send it off around. Next, we're going to go to the boxer, which is here primarily used here in the States. Uh, it has, due to its single flash hole design, it causes us easier reload, uh, or makes it easier to change during the reload process. Again, we're going to use a firing pin to strike the primer, uh, causing the primer mix to go off, crushing the foil between the anvil. The primer mix will continue to burn going into the propellant and send another round down the range. Lastly, we have the battery cap or battery cup. Battery cup is primarily used in shotgun shells. Uh, Here we would have another uh, firing pin going off, hitting the back of the primer, causing the primer mix to strike the anvil, which is integrated, and as well as the foil, which eventually would make it into the propellant, send uh, either a slug or your buckshot, birdshot, whichever you prefer to use, down the range or at your target. Uh, for my sources today, I used uh, Ammunition 101, Basics of the Cartridge by Aaron Carter, written on uh, February 24th of 2022. I found it on AmericanRifleman.org. For my diagrams, my reference for my diagrams, I used uh, a couple of websites or a couple of sources. The first one was for the battery cup. I found it on the National Institute of Justice website. It was published on July 11th of 2023 by an unknown to me uh, public or author. For the Boxer and Berdan primers, I found it on article Berdan versus Boxer primed ammo. What's the difference? By Chris Dulett. Uh, the date of publication was unknown, and it was found on ammo.com. That concludes my assignment for this week. Thank you, and have a great day.